So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about gear. I'm going to be comparing Sony and a company called NearStream. I'm going to be comparing microphones and cameras, and we're going to see if you can guess which is which. So can you guess which camera I'm looking into right now? Can you guess what microphone system I'm using right now? Am I using a $100 one, or am I using one that is worth $450? Which microphone and which camera am I using? Right now, I'm looking into a different camera, but I'm still using the same microphone. Let's change that because we can do that on the fly, the way I've got it set up. And I'm going to show you exactly how I rigged all this at the very end. So now I'm on a different microphone system, and this is what that sounds like. And now I'm going to switch microphones again. Now I'm on another microphone system, and this is what it sounds like. How does the sound of my voice sound? Is it deep? Is it rich? What does it sound like? Does it sound like a studio microphone, or does it sound like a wireless microphone? And now I'm on a different microphone again. Now, before I go any further, this video is not sponsored. I do not have any affiliate links, so if you click on anything, I don't get a commission. The other thing I want you to know is I never ask people for memberships. I never ask them for Patreon. I never ask them to buy me a coffee with a little QR code in the corner. I don't ask for anything. What I would like is if you could just watch the video to the end and tell me your thoughts on the video. And if you like it, hit that like button because that would really help me out and it doesn't cost you anything. There is no harassment at my channel. I don't bug my subscribers for any money of any kind. I also don't try to get commissions on products so that you know that when I recommend something, it's because I like it and not just because I want to get a commission on it. So this is a camera that I'm looking into right now. Do you think it is a Sony camera or do you think it is the NearStream camera? Let me switch cameras again. So now I'm looking into a different camera. It's on a different angle. Now, which camera is this? Is this a Sony camera or is this a NearStream camera? But to let you know, I've worked with a company called NearStream and they make streaming cameras, but you can also use them in a studio environment. They have what they call NDI support, so you can hook up multiple cameras and you use that little phone jack thing in the back and you can actually get they come with a license so that you can hook them all up and you can use them at great distances. It's a really cool setup. However, does it have the same quality as the Sony camera? Does this look like the Sony camera? Or does this look like the Sony camera? Which one do you think has better colors? Which one do you think has better contrast? Now, I will say that the other camera angle, there is light behind me, you know, from the sun, but the sun is starting to go down, so it shouldn't impact it too much. But, you know, this is what this one looks like. Now, I'm going to put both of them in the windows at the same time here because I am running this through a video switcher. And I'm just going to go like this. Okay, so now you're seeing one camera angle in the corner there, and you're seeing me looking at it from the other camera angle. So this is what it looks like. And, you know, can you read everything behind me? And this is what it sounds like. And I'm using a wireless microphone, but which one am I using? Because I have the DJI Mic 3. I've got the NearStream AWM20t, and I've also got the NearStream Studio microphone. So why do I have so much NearStream gear? Well, it's because of this kit that they're promoting. So they do have a kit that they're promoting, and I said, hey, you know what? It's a pretty inexpensive kit. It's less than $700. I'm going to put a picture of it in the corner because I thought it was worth mentioning. Now, this kit includes a studio microphone, it includes a wireless microphone, and it includes a camera. And you can run all of their stuff through OBS. You can also run it through video switchers like I'm doing right now. So am I looking into the NearStream camera? So this is the Sony ZV-E10. And I've got it hooked in through an audio switcher so that I can change different microphone systems. But I'm going to tell you that the Sony ZV-E10 has a very intensive settings menu. In other words, there's a lot of things that you can change and set in this camera. For instance, it has product showcase and things of that nature. Now, a lot of people would say these are great to have. However, some people might be overwhelmed by that menu. And even with myself, even with me, and I go through these cameras and I'm familiar with them, sometimes I have to sit there and pause and say, okay, what setting am I on? Like when I try to get these two cameras to be on the same colors and try to coordinate the white balance and the ISO, these things are not easy to do. And with this camera that I'm looking into, it can be quite complicated. But with this camera, now this is the NearStream VM20. It was very easy to set up because it doesn't have a huge menu system. It gives you a selection of things. Now, some people may say, well, I like having that in-depth menu, but it also has a microphone input, so you can use that. But it's not a complicated microphone input. As a matter of fact, you plug a microphone into the back, and that's it. You don't have to set your audio levels. You don't have to set your monitoring levels. Some people might want that, but a lot of people just want something very simple, and they just want to plug things in and have it work, and that's it. So this is what this camera looks like, and I've got the Sony down there. Can you see the difference between the two? Because this one does not have interchangeable lenses. It has a smaller sensor, but I've also noticed it's quite bright. And this is why I like it in this spot, because when I go to my downward shot, I don't have additional lighting off to the side. It's very difficult to bring in lighting because it can kind of wash things out. And I'm going to show you that right now. So we're going to just queue up. And wrong angle. There we go. Okay, so now I'm in the corner. I got the downward shot. So this is the DJI Mic 3. This is a very expensive microphone system. Now it has a lot of features. It's got a touch display, and you can scroll through all of these little features, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And if you're curious, the downward shot camera is a Makos camera. It's very inexpensive, but it does the job. And I tend to use gear that just works and doesn't have to be expensive. The autofocus works. You can read what I'm doing. And you can see that this has a touch display. It has lots of features. You can actually hook 4 transmitters up to here, 32-bit float, internal recording, all of that good stuff. Noise cancellation, you name it. However, do you need all of those features? And do you understand all of these features? For instance, if I go into the transmitter and I've got, low cut, I've got, let me see here. I'm just going to go into the transmitter. I've got low cut, I've got gain, I've got adaptive gain. There's my 32-bit float. I got file options. I've got startup recording, low power recording, loop recording. These are all great features, but you also have to understand what they are and you have to set them up. So the problem with having all of these settings is you have to know how to set them up, or you could have corrupted audio. Your audio could actually be worse because you've got the wrong settings on there. Now it also has time code. And a lot of people don't understand what this is. You have to be an advanced user to understand what this is. And if you don't understand what this is, you definitely don't need it. And of course, it has, the time and the date and all that other good stuff on here too. And the transmitters are very good quality. It's a very good quality unit. But here is the NearStream setup. And it is very simple. There is no touch display, so you don't need to worry about accidentally hitting anything. Everything you need is with these buttons right here. And if I adjust my gain, I can do it through here. I can turn down my gain through here. It's just got a few settings. It's got 3 settings and that's it. This one's blinking because the transmitter is still in the case. It tells you the battery level of the receiver. Everything is easy to read and it's right here. It's even got a headphone monitoring jack, so if you want to monitor the headphone, you can. And there's USB-C charging in case you want to charge it. I will give you a tip. If you do want to charge these things while you're using them, do not use fast charging. It will cause interference. Use regular charging. You'll have less of a problem with regular charging. Otherwise, you're going to get a buzzing noise, and even if you have your earphones plugged in, you won't hear it until you play back your recorded audio. So, we have the DJI Mic 3, we have the NearStream AWM20t, and what is this guy right here? Well, I need to back up because it's quite big. So this is the NearStream AWM25X, and it comes with this stand. So it's a little awkward for me to show you, but it also has USB-C function, so if you want to plug it directly into your phone, you can. It's got noise cancellation, and it's a condenser microphone. This is what it looks like when you take off the wind muff. There's the capsule inside. It's a pretty nice little unit, and it's also not very heavy, so if you had to travel, you could take it with you. It's not very cumbersome or overly, awkward to use. So, and it's also firmware updatable through the NearSync app. All of their equipment is updatable through the NearSync app. So you need to remember that too. Now this little box over here, this is not included in their Solo Creator Kit, but I thought I would mention it. It is the AMI-X40U. It's an audio interface, so if you want to use the XLR, you can feed it through here, and I'm using it because I'm putting it through my video switcher. So right now, I am using the NearStream AWM25X Studio microphone. Okay, so now I'm on the NearStream AWM20t wireless microphone. That's this guy right here. Okay, and the one thing I will say is it's glove friendly. If you're wearing gloves, you can still use it. So if you're using it in cold climate, it's great. Has lavalier microphone input, and also they come with the wind muffs and all that other good stuff is what I'm getting at. But it's got lav mic input, and that's also nice if you're using it in cold weather because you don't want this to get wet. It's not waterproof. And this is the DJI Mic 3. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like right there. And that's what that looks like. And it also has 2 different color wind muffs that you can get. And it's got a magnet on the clip. Now, the one thing I've mentioned before in other videos is that even though you've got it clipped on, the clip is held on with a magnet. You could end up losing your transmitter in certain situations. It's a very high quality system, and I'm going to switch to it right now. So now we're on the DJI Mic 3. So how am I switching back and forth on these microphones? With this. This is a passive switcher. Now it's not perfect, but there's no amplifier built into it. And I've put a space between the different microphone systems to avoid crosstalk. And I've also adjusted my output volume to avoid crosstalk as well. This is to avoid amplifier buzz from one system to the next. And sometimes you can have that situation. It's called RF interference. And whenever you're running long cables and things like that, you have to be very careful of that. As a matter of fact, I've had to redo videos just because of that issue. Back to me over here. So now I'm on a studio microphone, and this is what that sounds like. And I'm going to switch back over to the AWM20t, which is the NearStream wireless microphone. So this is the NearStream wireless microphone. I'm going to activate the webcam. So this is going to show you the setup and how I've got the camera mounted that I'm looking at. And the only thing that I've done is I've added this, which is a USB power supply with a switched outlet. That's so I can turn it on and off. And this is red because the camera has built-in microphones way up here. It's got 8 of them. And you can actually use those instead of using the other ones. So even if all the other ones failed, it's got really good internal microphones. And we're going to take a listen to those. Okay. So now I'm going to activate the microphones in the camera, and I have to shut these ones off. So let's do that. And by the way, this is the remote control that it comes with. So it comes with a remote control, something you don't get with a Sony ZV-E10. So you can set all your presets and everything else. I've got it labeled right here. This is what it looks like. And I can even zoom in a bit. And it's got slow zoom. So this is slow zoom, which is nice. Remote control looks like, so that you can see. And it's kind of cool. It's got lots of presets. You can operate up to, I think it's like 6 devices, 5 cameras. 5 cameras with this guy. You can control them all with that, which is pretty cool. And there is the mute button, and there is you can actually shut the video on and off with the remote control. So if you need to do that, you can. So let me just go back a bit here. And there we go. And there we go. So that's the remote. And now I'm going to turn on the microphones on the camera. And now they're on. And I'm going to mute these ones. So now I'm going to mute this one here. Okay, so you would get an echo if you have 2 microphones at the same time. That's why it almost sounds like reverb. So this is the microphone system in the NearStream VM20. Can you hear me? Does it sound okay? Does it sound better or worse than all the other ones? It's probably not as good as the other microphones. However, would it work in a pinch? I think it would. You've got 8 microphones in there, and it's also got noise cancellation built into them as well. So it's pretty good for that. Now I'm going to show you the difference between the audio on this and the audio on the Sony ZV-E10, because it also has internal microphones. The internal microphones of the Sony. So this is the internal microphone of the Sony ZV-E10. It's not very good at all. It probably sounds like I'm a lot farther away than I am. So this is what it sounds like. Now, I will say that it probably was turned down a little bit because I've got external microphones plugged into it. So that is a factor as well. But even if I get really close and I'm talking to it, they're not really that good. So I'm just letting you know, but I did show you just because it was good to point that out. So now I've got to plug in the other one. So now, all right. So now we're on the DJI Mic 3, and this is what that sounds like. I'm looking into the Sony ZV-10, but in the corner, you can see that I've got the VM20, and I'm a little bit brighter in that one, and which is kind of surprising given that the Sony has a bigger sensor than the VM20. So we're going to go back to the VM20, and this is the VM20, and I'm just going to take me out of the corner. So now I'm on the DJI Mic 3, and I'm looking into the VM20. So would you pick the DJI Mic 3 as your audio setup? So the other advantage of using the NearStream gear, and I want to point this out, is that like Sony, they do have an ecosystem. So they have other cameras that you can get. So for instance, if I wanted to have a multi-camera setup, let's say I'm filming a parade, because I do that, I can get their VM33 cameras, and I can put the app on their phone and use my phone as my video switcher to go from different angle shots without having to use things like that complicated time code that I was talking about, where you'd have to get regular cameras, you'd have to use time code, and then you'd have to sync everything up. So when you use a video switcher or you're using cameras that can go from one to the next, you don't have to worry about that. Your audio is always going to be in sync with your video. Before I end this video, I want to ask you a question. Were you able to figure out which one was the Sony camera and which one was this NearStream camera? Could you tell the difference between the expensive DJI Mic 3 microphone and the less expensive AWM20t? And did you notice a difference between those two and the studio microphone? So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making it because I love talking about budget gear because I don't like to see people overspend when it comes to gear. I find that I've overspent many times and I've learned from those mistakes. So take care, be safe at work, and I will see you at the next video. Bye.